Thanks so much for joining us on CBS News Colorado. I'm Michael Spencer, joined by CBS Colorado sports anchor Romi Bean. The big night is coming up this Thursday. Coach Prime's Playbook officially debuts right here at 6:30. Romi, I am excited to watch this show. I can only imagine how excited you are to host this show every week.
Oh my gosh. I mean, Michael, it's so exciting because for so many reasons. First and foremost, it's Prime, the man, the myth, the legend, right there, just chopping it up. But the best part is he's just so open. He's so honest. He's there. He wants to talk about CU. He wants to talk about his players. And we've seen the reception that he's gotten from Buffs fans, from Buffs Nation, from the country, from the world. And so it's so great to get to just sit down and kind of pick his brain a little bit in a more intimate session, right, than a podium session. And have a little fun, too, because he really is. He lets loose and he just lets his personality out. A lot of fun on tap.
Well, and you mentioned it. All of a sudden, everybody in the country is now talking about CU football and Coach Prime. For viewers and fans at home, how does a show like this come together?
Oh, a lot of moving parts. A lot of people at this station, a lot of people up in Boulder. There's so much going on to put it together. You know, kind of week to week, there's a bunch of different elements. Of course, we talk X's and O's. So we'll talk about the game that happened. We'll talk about the game ahead. Of course, for the first week, we're just going to talk about looking ahead and, of course, the debut of the Prime era. He's also got a great relationship with Sonny Dykes. So we talk about that a little bit, too, which is a lot of fun. And then beyond that, we try and give viewers a little bit something else, right? Well, how can you get to know Prime a little bit better? And that's really fun because that's a process. I'm still learning and getting to know Coach Prime and building that trust and rapport with him. So I think as the season goes on, things are going to come up, right, that we didn't even know. It's like when you started working with me and you're like, oh, right. By the end, you know, maybe you enjoyed it a little bit. I don't know. Hopefully he feels the same. But there's so many elements and pieces. We're hoping to get some stuff from, you know, some assistant coaches as well. So all different parts that puts this together.
A little bit of everything, which I think is what is going to make this show so special. So what has that been like as you have gotten to know Coach Prime, and I imagine as he gets to know you, this show is going to kind of grow and evolve. But what has it been like as you guys have gotten to know each other a little bit here through the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, you know, Michael, it really feels like a privilege. And like I said, it's very, very new. Of course, we just have, you know, met each other kind of to do a promo shoot, get to know each other, get the first show under our belts. But each time I get to know Coach Prime a little bit better, he gets to know me a little bit better. And the truth is, you know, he's got this big, exuberant personality, but he's a really humble, low-key guy at the end of the day, and he's all in it for his players, and he continues to express that. And so it's very cool to kind of see a little bit more of that subdued side of him, and I think that he has said before, people are going to see that as we do this show, and that's something that I'm looking forward to. I feel like he's so knowledgeable. Even between the breaks, he was talking about, I learned a lot about bass fishing, right? You know, he's got so many elements to who he is, and just it's an honor and a privilege to get to sit down with him every week.
Well, and you're going to be so great at bringing out his personality and having it be more than just your typical football show, because, of course, with Coach Prime, it is so much more than just football. But on the field, let's talk about expectations versus reality. We've heard from Coach Prime, and he says, hey, we're going to win, period, straight up. People outside of Boulder don't necessarily see it that way. Most of the sports books have the over-under for win totals for CU this season right at about 3.5, which is pretty low. Granted, it's higher than the one game that they won last year. What do you expect, and what are you watching for out of this football team when they take the field starting on Saturday against TCU, the national champion runner-up?
Yeah, you know, I think it's so crazy because it's still a big question mark. You have seen the talent that Prime has brought in, and the skill players are out of this world. I think there's question marks in the trenches. What's that going to look like? And again, nobody's really been able to see. All we really have is the spring game. We have a little bit of practices, so it feels like it could go either way. I'll tell you what, we had Gary Barnett on Monday Live. He, of course, is on radio, former Buffs head coach, and he was split. I asked him if he thinks the Buffs are going to get to a bowl game, and he said he feels solid about 5 wins. He thinks maybe it could stumble your way into 6 or 7. I'm an optimist. I think they're going to a bowl game, okay? You know, but I think this is a team. What's going to be exciting is I think they're going to get better every week. And the fact that they have already what appears like have meshed very well with so many new players is pretty much unheard of. So I think the leadership is fantastic. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. So I think it comes down to how it all comes together. They got a tough schedule, and it starts tough, right? TCU, Nebraska. So I think they have a chance to make a statement right off the jump. I'm really excited to see what they do all year, and I think they're going to keep us guessing.
Well, and I think it's important to note, too, that it's going to take some time for Prime to really put his stamp on this program. You mentioned all the new players. He was busy in the portal. He's not hard to find, in case you haven't heard that. And so I'll be interested to see kind of how all of that comes together. Realistic expectations for this team. Do you have a win total? I know Gary Barnett was at 5-6. You think, what, 7, 8?
I'm going to go with, give me 8.
8.
I'm taking 8.
I love it.
That's a bowl game and some change, that you can sleep on a little
Well,
bit
of course,
there.
it all gets started Saturday against TCU, and then the really big one, Prime's home debut against Nebraska, coming up a week from Saturday. What do you think that atmosphere is going to be like at Folsom Field?
I think it is going to be insane. I mean, the ticket prices are through the roof. You can't even get tickets. I've had people reach out to me and say they're more expensive than Broncos tickets right now, which is just insane. But it is also this sense of this rivalry renewed. There are former Buffs that we talked to that still will not wear red. And all of those guys are so energized by what Prime has brought. So I think the rivalry is just completely reignited. Plus, Matt Rule had some things to say, and we're listening. I don't know if Prime's listening or not, but everybody else is listening. I think it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be, like they say, Boulder in the 90s all over again. We often talk about that true college football environment that you get in the SEC and, down south. I think Boulder's just going to be out of this world.
It's going to be a lot of fun in Boulder this year, and of course you will be there to cover it all. You can watch the debut of Coach Prime's Playbook with Romi Bean on Thursday night at 6:30. We will have a new show for you right here every Thursday at 6:30 during the CU football season. We will see you then.